Hey guys, Juno191 here, finally doing that Seattle Air Museum Part 2 trip, or Part 2 video. Now, I know it's not going to be as steady as the Mighty Jingles videos, if you know what I mean, because shout out to you, Jingles, your videos are so smooth when it comes to this. That, and I'm using Movie Maker and also using the camera on my S3 Samsung, which is it's a pretty good camera, but honestly, it's crap. But anyway, on to the Air Museum. I have to say, very good exhibit. You have to go there in order to believe it, because I mean, they got some rare planes, like pre-Wright brothers. So there are some planes that are like powered by pedaling, and then there are some that actually the wings actually flap like a bird, which is like, you think about it and it's like, we were willing to try that. And then when powered engines came along, damn, we took off, literally and metaphorically. But there's also two Canadian things in here that I found. You're going to see them soon, and one is in the main display hall, and one is actually in the World War II hall. It's very small, but it's Canadian. And it's from the Second World War, obviously. And you're going to see it soon. So, anyway, right there you see, well, what the camera's coming onto is the space exhibit part of the museum. Now, there's two parts of this, actually. I consider it two parts, because on the other side of the street, if you go across the Sky Bridge, which is literally going over the street, there is a big museum with literally a space shuttle in it. Now, and then, unfortunately, there is one spot where I could not get into due to the place being under renovations, I believe. Or it's just being set up again. But there are, what's here? B-17. There was a B-17G, Concorde, A6 Intruder, and all that. Now, coming up, you're going to see the first Canadian item in here, and that is the CL-13. That is a CL-13B. Now, you're probably thinking, what the heck is it doing here in the Seattle Air Museum? Well, that kind of beats me. CL-13B, it looks like an F-86 Sabre, but it's actually the Canadian version, made by Canada Air. If I butcher that name, I'm so sorry. But from what I've read, Canadian pilots have said it actually beat the American F-86 Sabre. Now, right next to that is a MiG-15. That is the competitor of the F-86 Sabre over the skies of Korea. Now, there's two different things you can tell that made the F-86 or the CL-13 kind of better than the MiG-15. For one, the weaponry. The MiG-15 had a 37mm and a 25mm gun, if I remember correctly. Now, if you're impatient and you shoot close range, yeah, look at the F4 Phantom and UH-1I Core Huey. But anyway, back to the MiG-15. Pilots had claimed, who were shot at by MiG-15s, to have the 37mm go under them and the 25mm go over them. So if you're not patient enough to get close range with the cannons, you're practically going to be shooting over and under them. Literally. But also, in front of me, there's the turboprop. I don't know what the heck that is. There's a UH-1I Core Huey, used in Vietnam. F4 Phantom, also used in Vietnam. And MiG-21 BIS, if I remember correctly. Now, you're probably seeing the tail end of it, and you're thinking, oh, SR-21 Blackbird. Ooh. Now, of course, the SR-71 Blackbird, and yes, very, I'm going to say, this might sound awkward, but very sexy plane. But no, that is not actually an SR-21. That is an M-21 Blackbird. Want to know why? Well, if you're looking on top and seeing that rocket booster looking thing and you're thinking, what the hell is that doing on there? That is actually a drone that mounted onto the SR-21, and the SR-21 was the launching platform for it. And let's just say, now if you're thinking, now back to the F-80 or CL-13, the one thing that made it better, I'm guessing better than the F-86, was the engine, which was one Avro or Orenda Mark 14 engine with 7,275 pounds of thrust, giving a max speed of 606 miles per hour and a cruising speed of 489 miles per hour. Pretty good, eh? If I don't say so myself. Now, the MiG-15 engine was literally a stolen copy of a British engine that the British were actually dumb enough to sell to the Soviets back then. Stalin was actually famously noted to quote, "What fool would sell us our secrets? Sell their secrets to us." Sorry if I completely done-screwed that quote. But I guess the British were dumb enough because I believe it was Rolls-Royce. They were busy with, they basically had two lines of engines, and one engine wasn't doing as well as the other, so they sold it to the Russians, and they wanted royalties for it. Russia said, "Screw you, thanks for the engine, very nice engine, and we're putting it in our MiG-15s." So I guess the MiG-15 was technically also a Russian plane with British engineering. You could kind of consider it that, but you can kind of also consider that the Russians actually backstabbed the British. And the Canadians, I don't think, well, let's just say Canada wanted something better, and I know the Avro Air was in production until dumb Diefenbader shut it down, which was honestly the biggest, I'm going to swear in this, but the biggest fuck up in probably Canadian history, because we would have had the fighter of the century. But the CL-13 was also armed with 50 caliber machine guns, which were honestly better than the MiG-15's cannons. Now, coming up here next is the Boeing factory, the original Boeing factory building, the Red Barn. If you look outside the windows, you can kind of see it, and it's coming up here soon. Now, you're going to be surprised. We went from, well, the materials of 1903 to today. You're going to be surprised of what we managed to do within that amount of time. This is where the Boeing factory started, really. Made wood planes, all wood and canvas. It's okay. We went from all this wood and canvas to what's in the World War II hall to what's out on the tarmac right now at Seattle right now. And also in Whidbey Island base. Like, seriously. We went from all this to autopilot. We went from autopilot to high-speed auto. We went from basically all this to high-speed autopilot. Yeah, to barely getting off the runway. To absolutely firewalling it and only using... Ooh, damn. And now you come upstairs. Ooh. Look at all of this. Of course you can't be up here without the bone. The famous word. Hello. B-29 and B-17. God.
Radio controlled model.
Really? Nice. And then you have a little display here. God, I'm in heaven now. Got the wood models. Awesome. What the hell is that?
That's what you call Brad and Whitney JT3.
Only in America. No offense, Americans, but you guys Americans are good. All the better. They don't have the B36P? The B36 Peacemaker. Guess no one wants to talk about that one. You have the B52. Yowza. Oh. Now this is all space. Now this is the one that was used in ME-163 and the V-1 flying. Now in this part of the museum, we're in the World War I hall. A plane you see in front of me. I have no idea what the heck it is. Now a little bit about the First World War. At first, it really wasn't that bloody in the air war. Like, it was chivalry, literally. Sorry if I butcher that word again. But you wouldn't shoot at each other. You'd literally, if you saw one another, you'd literally wave at each other, let them know you're there. Like, hi, what you doing? And then someone had the bright idea of bringing up weapons. And, well, here's a little display case of it. Dude, Springfield, and a Maxim.
That's a grenade.
Yeah. And a C-96. Look. Oh yeah. Back in World War One, they used to be able to throw bricks at people.
That's what they were using for bombing.
And grappling hooks.
Can you imagine that?
No! Now, at this point, I began to fangirl out because it's either... Yeah, it's a British or a French triplane. Can't remember if it's a Newport or the Sopwith triplane, but... I know these things all aren't original. Well, some of them aren't, but... They're full scale, and you get an idea of how small or big these things were. Now, up top, there's the first Fokker fighter model plane. And then an SU-5A. Now, the interesting about this SU-5 is that it actually had a top-mounted, on the top wing, there's a machine gun mounted to it, which was actually pretty cool to see that. Actually, I actually liked it. And then you also had in the background there, I believe, it's a Sopwith Camel, if I remember correctly. Back up to the Fokker. Yes, I know. Looks very nice. It looks like okay. At first, when I first saw it, like when I first looked at pictures of it and saw the shine, I thought it was metal, but that's actually canvas. I know the Albatrosses actually had wood paneling, so basically you could shoot a bunch of times and it still lives. So it gets the grade on durability. The Albatrosses, I know that. Now the British were still using canvas and wood and wire and all that. Sweet jazz. But also, they had the risk of rotary engine fires and all that because the engines would catch fire. If you shot the engine, it shut off. The wind, I know there are some accounts in World War I where the wind would literally start the engine back up, and trip a fire on the engine because the pilots knew there would be risks of fire with their engines being shot, and you'd be like, shut the engine off, but the wind would start it back up, and then your engine would be on fire. They also had to overcome the problem of shooting machine guns when they started mounting them. At first, they were mounted in behind the pilot, so there would be an observation. Those became the first recon planes. Now, in order to shoot through the planes, yes, there is the Fokker DR-1, made famous by Manfred von Richthofen. Now, to put machine guns up front at first was literally, you were signing your own death wish because you would literally shoot your own prop off. And The Germans came up with the first way to shoot down planes, and they got the first kill without losing their own pilot, but via front-mounted machine guns. And what they did was they put steel plates right where the machine gun would hit the prop, the bullet would hit the prop, and it would bounce off. And after the prop passed, the bullets would go flying through until it hit the next prop. And literally, that's how it worked. Didn't work for very long because after a while, the plates would become dented and they break, and then you were back to shooting your own prop off. Then also, you had the risk of shooting a machine gun, bullet ricocheting, hitting you in the face. Now, we all know how that will go. Not very well. Now, of course, and then a Dutch designer named Antoine Fokker came up with the interrupter mechanism. It seems pretty basic. Literally, when a prop is in front of the machine gun, a cam trips. There is a little cam that trips a lever to stop the machine gun from firing when the prop is in front of it, or like a millisecond before the prop is in front of it. Once the prop passes by the line of fire, the machine gun starts shooting again until the next blade comes by. And the Germans, at first, it was very revolutionary because the British were wondering how the heck are they shooting down planes without shooting their own props off. Until some British people shot down, or some British airmen shot down, I can't remember if it's British or French airmen, or whatever country, but they shot down a German aircraft. I can't remember the aircraft it was, but they got, and well, when it hit the ground, the interrupter mechanism was still intact, so they copied it, put it in their planes, and that's how the First World War turned very bloody. The air war actually started getting bloodier from there because you were literally able to shoot so accurately, because where they would mount the machine guns was literally in front of you, not on the wings. They would mount them on top of right where the engines were, and you could literally shoot right through your prop. There's the advantage of the interrupter gear, and you shoot right through your prop, and then you would hit your target. So that's where you get the great aces like Billy Bishop and Manfred von Richthofen, Ernst Dudek, and Werner Voss, and George Guynemer. Now, funny thing about the Red Baron's death. Most people say, oh, the Canadians shot him down. Yeah. Actually, it wasn't Billy Bishop, the famous Canadian ace, who everyone says to have done so. The way the bullet hit Baron was, well, let's just say it came from the ground. It came from an Australian anti-aircraft crew, a machine gunner crew, actually, who were literally shooting at him. And Baron made the mistake of following his prey, even though he knew it would take him over enemy lines, because the winds were going in a different direction. I can't remember which way they normally went, but they were going opposite of the way they normally went. So it took him over the lines faster. And Billy Bishop was literally right behind and trying to save his new apprentice, or wingman, his new wingman, and trying to save him and get Baron off of him. But the machine gunner got there first. And surprisingly, Manfred actually lived through that, landed his plane, and right after the British crew got up to him, that's when he died. So that's pretty impressive for someone to be shot, and I believe it hit his heart. I can't remember. It hit one of his lungs or his heart. I can't remember the exact autonomy or whatever you call it. But he actually managed to live through it. And yeah. He was buried with full military honor as well, which is what you do. I find that a way. Sorry about that. My phone went off. But anyway, back to commentary. Yes, in front of you is a rotary engine. I can't remember what I was talking about before, but this is a rotary engine that was found that would be mounted on most World War I aircraft. You got the SC5, who had the first, like, non-rotary engine. I don't know what they called them back then, but I believe nowadays we'd call them, oh, I don't know, an inline engine. Ah. And we never used rotary engines after the First World War because we had two types of engines. There was the, well, actually, technically three, because the Germans actually came up with the first jet, but that's for another story. There would be inline, and then Pratt, and then a, I can't remember the engine. It wasn't, there was the inline, and then there was the one that was on the P-47. But anyway, here's a little simulator thing, and I decided to have a little fun with it, so hope you enjoy. A diagram of what basically they would have had.
Oh my god.
Okay.
It's an actual thing.
Let's do this. Slightly.
Gotta get more speed.
I know.
Get more speed. Not gonna have enough speed.
Okay. I'm up.
Don't start.
I know. I'm trying to film.
What's the red button?
I don't know.
Here. Red button.
This is the view of the World War I. Okay, barrel roll. It's so cool. Wow.
How does the camel stack up against the modern fighter?
No way. This thing, the sonic boom would just destroy that.
No, wonk.
Then look at all Albatross. Fokker D7, I believe, if I remember. Yeah, it is. This is an Albatross D3. Oh, hey, look. Now, they did have some stuff on, like I said, the Red Baron. Now, what would have been cool is if they painted this Albatross in the red paint scheme of his aircraft, because he did fly an Albatross D3 before he got his Fokker DR1. And I believe the Fokker, he got most of his kills. I believe the first kill he got was, from what I've heard, was out the back of a observation plane with a shotgun. That's shooting taken to the extreme, I have to say so myself. Now, if you notice, the Albatross looks like it's steel, but it's, I believe it's wood. It's a wood type of material. Well, it's like wood, but actually it is wood because it's molded on some way. I have to look it up one more time, sorry. But then you had one of the crosses he got, which was, I think, the Blue Mats, if I remember correctly. Yeah, it's the Blue Mats, And then there's an Iron Cross. Everyone knows the German Iron Cross because literally you could get it no problem. And also, got some info on that. I cannot read it. I'm sorry you can't read the info, but I was really trying to conserve my memory card for this because I was running out of memory, and since I was using my dad's phone, because it had a US plan on it, I was trying to use as little memory as possible. So which means I didn't get much. Excuse me. Didn't get much on it and everything. So literally, like I said in the beginning, this exhibit, you have to see it to believe it. I mean, you got so many famous fighters, and then also some rarities, like I said. Like, how often do you get to see World War I planes flying? I mean, you never see them flying anymore. Like, but to see them in the flesh on the ground, is one thing, but there is one place in Australia that I know they rebuild World War One aircraft, or they reproduce them to flying condition, and it's at specifications. Besides the engines, because no one's make those engines anymore. So you literally can only go to Australia for that, because they made a TV show on it in Australia. I will put the link down. I will put the name of the documentary of it in the comments and links down below. Now this is a Fokker D7. Now this is a weird kind of camo for me. I've never seen this type of camo before. And up there is, I believe, a Newport or a French Spad. No, it's not a Spad. Duh. It's a Newport. I'm guaranteed it's probably a Newport. It's probably a Newport 17. That's what I'm guessing it is. And, oh, what's that in the corner? I'm doing this as I'm watching the video, as you can tell. Now, there is one of the first one inline engine. And if you're wondering who I am with, that is one of my flight sergeants. He's no longer in cadet, but he's an awesome, awesome guy. Oh, that's a Newport right there. The French. The British are coming. The British are coming. No, it's the French. So, and that's basically the World War I haul. There's a little trench coming up in the next video, and here it is. Now you gotta have a look at this. Look at this. This is awesome. Wow. It's amazing. Look at the attention to detail, dude, on this.
I know, it's nice.
It's incredible. And then you got that. Just a light. Look at all this. I mean, this is history to remember. And then you got Newport Type 28 with the 4 machine guns. And then you got the Spad.
Sir, but I have to ask you, why us? Yes, the Americans. Why now? Why
And then we got the Havlid.
Well, simply put, we are here to
And I'm going to head down. We're going to head down to World War II right now. As you walk in, you see a Spitfire, a BF-109, and they're playing Berlin, of course. It's an E3. Now, yes, that is the BF-109 E3, as you see there, armed with 4 MG-17 machine guns, and I'm getting mixed up again. There are 2 MG-17 machine guns, 2 20mm cannons mounted in the wings, and also a 30mm prop-mounted cannon. Now imagine how hard it was to aim that. In that display case, there is also a Walther P38, and what I believe to be a German Luftwaffe knife. If I remember correctly. I can't remember off the top of my head. I have to look it up again. There's so many things I have to look up again. If I have to look up, if you're doing the drink game on how many times I say I have to look it up again, or how many times I say whatever, you're gonna be wasted afterwards. Don't do that game, kids. I do not recommend it. But basically, everyone says the BF-109. They made so many versions. They made it over its best before date. They used it way past it, because sure, it was adaptable, but they had nothing else better to build other than the Focke-Wulf 190, which was still, if I remember correctly, a 1930s design. The BF-109 preceded that. I mean, that's the problem with the German Air Force, is that by the time World War II came around, say 1940. 1940 is when the Battle of Britain started. 1940, they were out of date. The Focke-Wulf was still within the Focke-Wulf was still was still good. The BF-109 was just out of date. But then again, it depended on the pilot and his training if he knew how to use it very well. Now here we have a Spitfire Mark 5, I believe. And here I'm going to say it again. I'll have to look it up again. Made famous by that elliptical wing, which makes Albert Einstein turn in his grave because it is what some people say the perfect wing. And what does this thing pack? 2 20mm cannons, mounted 1 in each wing, and 4 303 machine guns, 2 in each wing. Now, this thing was literally made the poster boy of the Battle of Britain. The Spitfires drew the fighters away, so another plane, the Hawker Hurricane, can go in for the bombers. So consider both the Spitfire and the Hurricane both the heroes of the Battle of Britain. Now, one famous incident that involved a Spitfire and a Canadian was a couple years before, like, think a year or two before June 6th or D-Day happened. There was a Spitfire flying along in France, and he sees this nice German officer's car, and he goes and strafes it. He strafes it, hits it, confirms hits, flies home. Guess who was in that car? No, not Adolf Hitler. The Desert Fox, Erwin Rommel. And it was strafed by, guess who? A Canadian. It was strafed by a Canadian fighter, by a Spitfire with a Canadian pilot in it, and Rommel was in that car. I mean, what are the chances of that happening? Now, here comes the second Canadian object in this museum, and Rolls-Royce Merlin engine, Douglas Bada, British, and then a flight jacket, which is Royal Air Force, and then you got an RCAF service cap. There's more than one Canadian thing in here. Gauge success. This is so cool. Look at this, they don't have a rate. Okay, hang on. Next.
Hello, playmates. And now, for no reason at all, I'm going to sing you a little song that made me famous.
Casey.
The song that I made famous.
This is London calling Columbia.
That's good news, there you go.
And now we take you in.
Now here's some good tunes I do. P-40, Warhawk. This was used in China. The Flying Tigers. It's amazing. P-40. Normally. This is a Nakajima K-43 Hayabusa. Now you're probably thinking to yourself, what the heck is a Hayabusa doing in here? Well, it is one of the famous Japanese fighters, besides the A6M0, or Zeke, as the Americans will refer him to. Now, if I remember correctly, there is only one flying Japanese Zero from the Second World War that is in flying condition, and that is in the Smithsonian Museum? Anyway. But here is an inline engine. I can't remember if it's an Allison or Rolls-Royce. Looks like an Allison, but in the dark it could be a Merlin. I don't know. But the Japanese, their fighters were damn good. even during the Second World War, they were still good. I bet you they were good. If the Germans had come up with a jet, there's a P-38, Fort Tail Devil. Anyway, back to the Japanese. If jets were invented, and the Imperial Japanese Navy had not lost all their experienced fighters at the Battle of Midway or the Marianas Turkey Shoot, which, by the way, there is some great fighters from the Japanese side that you should respect. And all Japanese fighters who you guys, in fact, all veterans should just be respected. I mean, come on. They're awesome. But anyway, if the Japanese had not lost all their experienced pilots in the Marianas Turkey Shoot and the Battle of Midway, their fighters would have been past their fighters would have been actually so good they probably would have beaten jets. Now also there's the P-38 Lightning before that I mentioned earlier. Now here is hold on. I switch back to the Nakajima, which is I actually found it pretty nice. It's a nice looking aircraft. Because the Japanese were good at that. They were good at making their planes streamlined. Hold on. And it's starting to rain. Now this is, remember correctly, it's a Hellcat, or a Wildcat, my bad. It's an FM2 actually. The bridge between a Hellcat and a Wildcat. Obviously, Willie's Jeep with backprint R2800.
Is there a staircase going up?
Yeah, right.
F4U Corsair. What model Corsair is this? I have no idea. This is awesome. The F4U, obviously legendary for being the the bent wing and the whistle of death. Because you would hear every time it went to a screaming dive, they gave a whistle. And if you heard that, you know that one of these is on your ass and you're screwed. And right there, they got a 40mm Bofors cannon. Behind the P-38 now. Oh. P-47 with the 450s. With the R2800 engine. Look,
World War II aircraft.
Look at the 4 machine guns.
I know.
Look. Okay, and I've touched P-47. I'm sorry! You're touching legends, okay? No Stoka? Ah, okay. This is awesome. Big stud.
400?
400. 300?
Doomed to pass tanker before she ever sailed.
200? 600? 500?
Deutsche Soldaten. Deutsche Soldaten. Hier spricht Gil. Für die nächste halbe Stunde habe ich für euch etwas ganz
Yeah, German. And you got the Eastern Front Yak. The Yak with that big cannon. It's all in Russian. Yak 9U. Wait, doesn't the Yak 9U carry bombs in it? I think there's another Yak.
This is Piccadilly Circus, that rather small open space in the center of London where in peacetime the traffic used to go round and round and then spill out. The world.
And then obviously a P-51 Mustang. God, this thing's a legend. With 650 cows. This is a D model Mustang, of course.
I love Mustang.
Wow. This is Legends being made. Now, unfortunately, this is the point where my video camera, or my memory card, and the phone memory began to say, filming's up. I hope you enjoyed the video. I'm going to be doing a couple more videos, because the flight sergeant with me has a couple of videos that will probably upload sooner or later. And I'm going to be doing a couple more videos soon. I hope you enjoyed this video. Leave a like and a comment down below. Subscribe today. And I'll see you all in the next one. Peace out.